Hi, I am Stacy, writer of the Blake Hill House blog and co-host of True Tales from Old Houses, the podcast. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint a sash. This window has already been primed. We've replaced the broken glass panes and also reglazed here, and now it's ready for paint. The first thing I'm going to do is clean up the glass just a little, make sure that if there are any little bits and blobs of glazing there that I can get those off first before we start to paint so I can keep a nice crisp line. At this point the glaze has skinned over and it's of course ready for paint, but it still is vulnerable to compression with your finger or gouging with your blades. So be gentle, go easy. All right, real quickly before I show you where we're going to paint, I want you to take note of the primer. This has a layer of primer on, it actually has two, and the first layer of primer I put down, I sanded softly with this little sanding sponge just to knock off any texture or where the grain of the wood raised. And then I put a second coat on and then I did the same thing. So this primer is very, very smooth. There's no need to prime your glaze. It's just ready for full-on paint. And what we're going to do is, I'll show you with my brush first, but we're going to paint on the glaze. And that paint is going to go right onto the glass just a little bit. And that paint on the glass is going to seal out any moisture because remember, this is the exterior of your window exposed to all the elements. A lot of people don't like that look because they can see that line of paint from the interior, but that's almost always because the angle of the glaze is too steep and too high. Now, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that this sash has been heavily used for teaching purposes, and it is not my best work. So there's a good chance we're going to see my paint on the other side. We aren't going to paint the sides or any other part of the window that wasn't painted before, because those are normally the friction points, and that's where they meet the jamb or the sill. If you don't have confidence in your ability to make a nice crisp line, you could use painter's tape or masking liquid or something like that. I tend not to use that because I like to reduce the amount of waste with my DIY projects. And you know what? Practice always makes us better. But work to your comfort level. If you feel like at this stage in your restoration game you need to use tape or masking liquid, then feel free. I was not kidding when I said this wasn't my best work. I'm not particularly proud of this, but I did want to show you, I made some kind of intentional errors here to show you that over here where I went a little overboard with my paint, I can just razor blade that off. It comes off super easy once it's dry. You can see my putty is a little wavy gravy there. If I've gone too far, if my line is just too far over in some places, I can also razor that off, and when I come back to do my second coat, I can correct that. It's always better to do things right the first time, but don't be discouraged if you don't. There's always a solution. This particular window is the least fancy in my house, and it's in a tucked away corner, and this is the outside. There's a storm window on the exterior as well. Nobody's gonna see these mistakes. I'm gonna know they're there. You're gonna know your mistakes are there. They're not gonna matter. Any work you've done so far is beneficial to your house and your window. At this point, it's just a matter of repeating the steps. So I'm going to, tomorrow, I'm gonna let this dry a full 24 hours. I'm gonna put another coat of exterior on. Then after that dries for 24 hours, I'm gonna flip it over and I'm going to do 2 coats of interior paint on the interior of the sash. I'm gonna give everything a nice long cure time. I'm using latex paints and they dry to touch fairly quickly, sometimes within hours, depending on the humidity level and the heat. However, their full cure time can take up to 10 days to 2 weeks. Since I'm not in a hurry, since I'm not getting paid for speed here, I'm gonna go ahead and let these sashes dry for a full 2 weeks before I even think about installing them. Thank you for watching this video. I have more videos about windows and old house stuff, and you are welcome to subscribe to my channel, like this video. I've linked to all the supplies I used below, and if you have any comments or questions, be sure to leave them for me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.